What if I told you that the world around you, the chair beneath you, the air in your lungs, the memories flickering in your mind is not just something you observe, but something you create every single day? That may sound poetic, perhaps even philosophical, but it is also deeply scientific. From the perspective of both ancient Hermetic wisdom and modern physics, reality begins not out there, but in here, in the mind, in perception, in thought. You may have lived through decades of change, hardship, joy, and progress, but beneath it all runs a truth so powerful it connects the sacred with the scientific. The universe, in its vast complexity, is governed by laws of consciousness as much as laws of motion. In the early 20th century, a book called the Kybalion was published anonymously, claiming to be the distilled teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, a figure revered in ancient Egyptian and Greek traditions as a master of sacred knowledge. His teachings, hidden for centuries in temples and manuscripts, have resurfaced in our time not as a relic of superstition, but as a framework that aligns remarkably with discoveries in neuroscience and quantum physics. One of the central claims of Hermetic philosophy is that all is mind, that the universe is, at its core, mental. While this may seem abstract, science is increasingly echoing this idea. Consider the observer effect in quantum mechanics. Particles behave differently when they are observed, suggesting that consciousness is not merely passive, but participatory. Physicist John Wheeler went so far as to say, "We live in a participatory universe, one where reality does not exist in a fixed state until it is measured or experienced by a conscious being." This isn't just theory. Let's bring it closer to home. Think of a time when you were stressed or afraid. Your body tightened, your thoughts narrowed, your sleep became restless. Now contrast that with a time you felt hopeful, your breathing eased, problems seemed smaller, and possibilities opened. Nothing outside of you may have changed, but you changed, and in doing so, your experience of reality shifted entirely. That's mentalism in action. The mind is not a bystander in your life story. It is the painter of the canvas. Each thought, each belief, each repeated emotion is a brushstroke. Over time, those strokes form patterns, habits, and eventually a life. What you think is what you begin to perceive, and what you perceive shapes what you do. This is not about positive thinking in the superficial sense. It's about mental awareness, recognizing that your thoughts are not harmless or idle. According to studies from the University of California, repetitive negative thinking is linked to higher deposits of amyloid and tau proteins in the brain, the very substances associated with Alzheimer's disease. Meanwhile, research from Harvard's Department of Psychology has shown that consistent visualization and mindfulness practices can literally rewire the brain, increasing gray matter density in regions associated with memory, empathy, and emotional regulation. In other words, how you think shapes not only your feelings but the actual structure and health of your brain. So how do we apply this? First, begin your mornings not with the news or your to-do list, but with a quiet moment of intention. Speak to yourself as you would to a beloved friend. Try saying aloud, "Today I choose to see possibility," or "I am open to peace, even in uncertainty." Next, notice your inputs, what you watch, what you read, who you talk to. These are the nutrients for your mental soil. Are they enriching or polluting? And lastly, visualize. Not just wishful daydreaming, but focused imagery. If you want more connection, picture yourself engaging warmly with others. If you want better health, imagine your body thriving. Athletes use this. Surgeons use this. Why not you? Your age is not a limitation but a library. You have lived enough to know that outer circumstances change like weather, but your inner life, how you meet those changes, is what determines their impact. Mentalism teaches us that the mind precedes reality. Change your thoughts and you change your world, one moment at a time. You've walked through many seasons of life. Now you're invited to walk with greater awareness, to become not just the observer of life but its conscious co-creator. All it takes is a shift, a small but profound realization that your mind is not just in the universe. It is the universe, reflected in human form. And the moment you begin to think differently is the very moment your reality begins to follow. Imagine walking through a forest after the rain. The air is thick with the scent of earth and pine, the leaves still dripping, the ground soft beneath your feet. Everything feels alive, not in chaos, but in quiet coordination. The roots beneath you stretch deep, connecting trees in a vast underground network that scientists now call the Wood Wide Web. Trees are not isolated organisms. They communicate, share nutrients, and protect each other through invisible threads of mycorrhizal fungi. The forest thrives not because of competition, but because of correspondence. And so it is with us. What happens inside us, our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs, is deeply entwined with what we experience outside. This Hermetic principle, as within, so without, as above, so below, may sound mystical, but it is also biological, psychological, and entirely practical. Just as the forest reflects the health of its roots, your life reflects the state of your inner world. Let's begin with your body. When stress dominates the mind, the body follows. The American Psychological Association has found that prolonged emotional stress increases inflammation, weakens the immune system, and accelerates aging at the cellular level. Conversely, cultivating calm through practices like breathwork or gratitude can lower cortisol, boost immunity, and even protect your heart. Your biology listens to your beliefs. A messy, restless mind often lives inside a cluttered, overstimulated environment. If your living space feels chaotic, your mental state likely mirrors that disarray. Neuroscientists at Princeton University demonstrated that physical clutter competes for your attention and reduces your brain's capacity to focus and process information. But here's the beauty. When you clear a table, when you tend a garden, when you open your windows to let the morning light flood in, you are not merely changing scenery, you are changing your inner state. That's correspondence in motion. And it goes deeper. Relationships, too, are mirrors. If there is tension in your connections, ask, what dialogue is playing inside me? Am I harsh with myself? Do I expect others to give what I've not yet offered to myself? Psychology confirms what Hermeticists have long taught: our projections are powerful. Carl Jung put it simply, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The irritations we find in others often point to unresolved parts of ourselves. So instead of reacting outwardly, we can turn inward. Practice noticing without judgment. Ask yourself, what is this person showing me about my own beliefs? That's not weakness. That's mastery. Even the physical spaces we create act as extensions of our internal state. Architecture, color, light all influence our biology. Hospitals that incorporate nature and natural light have been shown to reduce recovery time. The color blue can lower blood pressure. Soft lighting calms the nervous system. This is not abstract. It is actionable. When you shape your environment with intention, you are shaping your state of being. So start small. Make your bed each morning not because it's a chore, but because it declares that today, you bring order to your world. Set a glass of water beside your chair as a gesture of care. Add music that uplifts you to your routine. These are not trivial acts. They are signals aligning the outer with the inner. The law of correspondence also works on a larger scale. Societies reflect their collective consciousness. When fear dominates public dialogue, division grows. But when empathy is cultivated, connection blooms. That begins at the individual level. You are not too small to make an impact. The ripple starts with you. Just as one pebble can disturb an entire pond, one act of inner clarity can shift a household, a family, a community. And this is where practice becomes power. Begin by taking inventory of your external world. Is your kitchen a place of nourishment or neglect? Is your car filled with clutter or peace? Are your conversations uplifting or draining? Then go within. What belief might be creating that outer reflection? Gently begin to adjust. You've lived long enough to know that life isn't about controlling every outcome, but it is absolutely about alignment. The more your inner world reflects clarity, care, and curiosity, the more your external world begins to harmonize. This is not magic. It's resonance. Just as a tuning fork vibrates and affects the string of a nearby instrument, your state of being influences everything around you. So take this moment to realign. Sweep a corner of your home. Apologize for that long-standing resentment. Speak kindly to yourself. Stand outside and let the sun touch your face. Because as within, so without. And when your inner landscape is tended with presence, your outer life becomes a reflection of quiet, powerful harmony. Think back to the first time you planted a seed. Maybe it was in a garden with your grandchildren or years ago in a small pot by the kitchen window. You placed it in the soil, covered it gently, watered it, and waited. Days passed with no sign of growth, but you trusted the process. You knew the work was happening invisibly beneath the surface. And then one day, a tiny green shoot emerged. That is the essence of the Hermetic law of cause and effect. Nothing in nature happens by accident. Every flower you see, every tree that towers overhead began with a cause. And so it is with your life. Every circumstance you experience now is the result of seeds, decisions, habits, thoughts, emotions you planted long ago. This is not fate or punishment. It is the universe responding with perfect precision. Science backs this up in extraordinary ways. Studies from Harvard and UCLA have shown that your thoughts and emotions create patterns in your brain, influencing not only your behavior but also your physical health. Chronic stress, for example, doesn't just make you feel overwhelmed, it alters hormone levels, affects memory, and even shrinks the brain's hippocampus over time. But the good news is just as clear. New thoughts, sustained over time, can grow new neural connections, a process called neuroplasticity. That means no matter your age, your brain is still planting seeds. The same is true for your heart. The HeartMath Institute has shown that your emotional states directly impact your heart rhythms, which in turn affect your immune system, your clarity of thought, and even the coherence of your entire body. In short, what you feel and focus on becomes a seed that grows into the quality of your experience. We often look at events in life and label them as luck or misfortune. But what if, instead, we saw them as echoes, responses to the vibrations we've sent out consciously or unconsciously? Just as a stone thrown into a lake creates ripples, our inner world sends waves into the field of life. Those ripples return to us as people, events, outcomes. And yes, sometimes the seed takes longer to grow than we expected. Sometimes storms come and wash it away. But even that is part of the law. The principle is not broken by setbacks. It invites persistence. Consider the farmer. He does not doubt the seed when winter delays the harvest. He prepares the soil, waters with patience, and trusts in time. This is why your small actions matter more than you think. Choosing to speak kindly to yourself instead of criticizing. Taking a deep breath before reacting. Drinking water instead of another cup of coffee when your body is weary. These are causes, and causes create effects. If you want more peace, sow peace into your daily rhythm. If you want more energy, plant seeds of movement, sunlight, and nourishing food. If you want more connection, reach out to someone you love, even if it's been years. No cause is too small. Every ripple returns. There's a story I often recall, one that echoes this truth with quiet power. In a mountain village lived an old gardener. His garden was modest, but it bloomed with life. One day a young man asked him why, despite hardship, the old man seemed always at peace. The gardener smiled and said, "Because I tend to what I can control: the soil, the seeds, the water. The rest, I leave to time and the law of return." That man was not speaking metaphorically. He was living in alignment with a natural law that governs not only crops but character, not only gardens but generations. So ask yourself today, what am I planting? What thoughts am I nurturing? What emotions am I watering every day with my attention? If the future is a harvest, then the present is the field. Tend to it with care. You are not at the mercy of random fate. You are an active participant in the shaping of your life. Begin by choosing one small seed, a morning walk, a word of gratitude, a handwritten note. Watch how it grows. Watch how the universe responds. The law is always working. When you plant with intention, you begin to live with power. There is a rhythm to everything in life if only we learn to listen. The tides of the ocean do not rise all at once, nor do they recede in a single breath. They move in patterns, in cycles, guided by the moon's pull and the unseen mathematics of nature. Your own body follows this rhythm too. Your heart beats in a measured cadence. Your breath flows in and out. Even your sleep is not one long stretch of rest but a sequence of stages cycling through the night. In the same way, your life unfolds through rhythms of growth, rest, challenge, and renewal. This is the essence of the Hermetic law of rhythm. It tells us that everything flows and everything returns. Just as spring follows winter and dawn follows night, so too do your joys and your sorrows, your energy and fatigue, your clarity and confusion. They are not random. They are rhythmic. And once you understand this, you begin to live with far greater ease. Modern science affirms what ancient wisdom has always known. The field of chronobiology studies how biological rhythms influence our health and behavior. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that disruptions in these rhythms, such as irregular sleep patterns or erratic eating schedules, can lead to chronic inflammation, depression, and even heart disease. On the other hand, living in sync with your body's natural cycles improves memory, mood, and resilience. Your body has internal clocks called circadian rhythms that regulate not only sleep, but also hormone release, digestion, and mental alertness. That's why waking up at the same time each day, eating meals at regular hours, and getting exposure to natural light in the morning can drastically improve how you feel and function. It is not about control. It is about alignment. When you move with the rhythm of life rather than against it, you begin to conserve energy instead of exhausting it. But rhythm is not only biological. It is emotional and spiritual too. Think about your own past. There were times when you felt at your peak energized, connected, inspired. And there were times when it felt like everything was falling apart. Yet looking back, you can often see how the low points prepared you for a deeper strength, how the setbacks cleared space for something new to emerge. What felt like a breakdown was, in truth, a turning point. This rhythm is not punishment. It is preparation. Just as a field must lie fallow before it can yield a richer crop, so too must your spirit sometimes rest before it rises. The mistake we make is thinking that we must always be moving upward, always achieving, always producing. But even the most enduring symphonies have their pauses. The silence is part of the music. Accepting your rhythm does not mean giving up. It means knowing when to act and when to reflect, when to push forward and when to pull back. There is practical power in this understanding. When you feel low, rather than judging yourself or forcing your way forward, try asking what this moment is asking of you. Do you need rest, nourishment, quiet? Give it to yourself without guilt. This is not laziness. This is wisdom. On days when your energy is high, use it to create, to connect, to build momentum. That is the rhythm of productivity with soul. Studies from Stanford University show that taking breaks at the right times actually increases long-term performance and mental clarity. The world tells us to grind endlessly, but your body and mind thrive when they are allowed to breathe. Think of the seasons. Each one brings something vital. Spring offers renewal, summer gives vitality, autumn invites reflection, and winter teaches rest. Your life mirrors these phases more often than you realize. Some days are like summer, full of activity and brightness. Others are like winter, quiet, still, even uncomfortable. But neither lasts forever. If you can learn to embrace each cycle, you become less afraid of change. You begin to see the low points not as failures but as part of a larger movement. The philosopher Plato described the soul's journey as a spiral, not a straight line. You may return to the same themes again and again, but each time you meet them with deeper wisdom. That is growth. That is rhythm at work. So how do we live this rhythm? First, observe your patterns. Keep a simple journal to track your energy, emotions, and thoughts throughout the week. You will begin to notice your own tides. Next, build small rituals that support your natural flow. Begin the day with sunlight and stillness. Pause at midday to breathe deeply or stretch. End the day with quiet, away from screens. And when the harder days come, and they will speak to yourself with kindness, say, "This is my winter. Spring will come." Because it always does. What matters is that you keep dancing with life, step by step, in tune with the music that never stops playing beneath it all. When you honor your rhythm, you honor your humanity. And when you live in harmony with that rhythm, You begin to feel perhaps for the first time that you are not behind or broken or too late. You are exactly where you need to be in the sacred flow of becoming. There comes a point in life when you stop asking only what you want to do and begin asking who you are becoming. The ambitions of youth often point outward: careers, achievements, recognition, but as time ripens, the compass shifts inward. You begin to notice that some things which once felt urgent now feel distant, and others, quieter but deeper, call to you with unexpected clarity. This is not confusion. This is evolution. The Hermetic tradition speaks of this through the lens of polarity and transmutation. It teaches that all states exist on a spectrum and can be shifted, not erased but transformed. Just as cold becomes warm by the introduction of heat, fear can become courage, sadness can evolve into purpose, and restlessness can signal rebirth. This isn't abstract poetry. It is grounded in both inner truth and outer science. Neuroplasticity research shows that as your thoughts and emotions shift, so do the neural pathways in your brain. Even in your later years, you are capable of creating new mental and emotional landscapes. Your brain does not simply decline with age. It becomes more selective, more efficient, and when nourished with curiosity and meaning, it flourishes. You might think that your purpose has already been lived, that your great roles are behind you, but this belief does not honor the spiral nature of the soul's journey. Purpose is not a destination or a title. It is a pattern of becoming, a movement of awareness, a continual unfolding. Think of the horizon. It always moves as you move, not to tease or frustrate, but to invite. What felt like your life's mission 10 or 20 years ago may no longer resonate, not because it was wrong, but because it has done its sacred work in shaping you. And now, something new is quietly forming, like the way a new leaf begins deep inside the branch before spring ever arrives. Many people feel guilty for changing course, for letting go of past dreams. But consider the tree. It does not mourn its old leaves. It sheds them to make space for growth. Philosophers and psychologists alike affirm that purpose is not fixed. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, wrote that meaning must be discovered anew in every season of life. And science supports this. Studies from Stanford and Yale show that having a sense of purpose improves physical health, extends lifespan, and reduces the risk of cognitive decline. But what they also show is that purpose is dynamic. It evolves as your consciousness evolves. The desires you had at 40 may not suit the soul you've become at 70. That is not inconsistency. That is wisdom. Think of purpose as a series of stepping stones, each one revealing itself only after you've stepped on the one before. Each step matters, even the ones that led nowhere. Especially those. They taught you how to listen more deeply. Now is not the time to retire from meaning. It is the time to reawaken to a deeper kind of purpose, one not measured by productivity but by presence. Begin by noticing what sparks a quiet yes in you. Is there a conversation that stirs you? A book you've been meaning to read? A skill you've never learned but often imagined? Let these small inner signals guide you. Purpose does not always arrive with trumpets. Sometimes it comes as a restlessness in the chest, a gentle nudge, a curiosity that won't let go. Follow it. Allow yourself to try something new, not to prove anything, but to stay open. The mind remains young when it is learning, and the spirit remains strong when it is engaged. One practical way to reconnect with your evolving purpose is to keep a soul journal. Each evening, ask yourself a simple question. What gave me life today? Was it a conversation? A moment of silence? A memory that surfaced unexpectedly? Over time, you will begin to see patterns. These are your soul's fingerprints. Follow them. Or if you prefer action, try something even more direct. Write a letter to your younger self and one to your future self. Notice the bridge between the two. That bridge is purpose in motion. It is not static. It lives and breathes with you. You may be tempted to dismiss this inner pull with thoughts like, "It's too late," or "I've already lived my path." But that's like saying the river should stop flowing after it rounds a bend. The truth is, your presence, your insight, your voice is needed now more than ever. Not as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who walks the spiral path with openness and grace. Your journey isn't over. It is deepening. And as it does, it becomes not just about what you do, but how you do it, how you love, how you listen, how you share your being with those around you. So step forward, not into the pressure of a final mission, but into the freedom of continual discovery. The path reveals itself as you walk. All you need to do is keep moving with honesty, curiosity, and the quiet courage to begin again.